very good evening to you. Welcome to Kivumbi 2017. Thank you for creating time for us. So the president was in Parliament today, and we want to talk a little bit about what he had to say in Parliament and the fact that the NASA brigade refused to show up in Parliament today. So let's have this conversation with Alex Gatundu, who's a lawyer, stroke political analyst. Right next to him, we have Mark Bichurch, who's a political analyst as well, and then we have Owidi Odoye, who's a political analyst. So let me begin with you, Alex. No, let me not begin with you. Kavit, what are your thoughts about what happened today, the fact, just your overview of the whole day with the president being in Parliament?
Linda, first of all, you are getting it wrong. Saying that NASA refused to be in Parliament, they had said they would not go there. So the idea of refusing or not refusing is not there.
So
we need to be talking about.
Okay.
We need to be talking about boycotting Parliament.
Okay.
That is it.
So let's talk about boycotting
But if you remember,
Parliament.
I listened to the president's speech. He only talked about who was elected, needs to be thanked. His agenda, he did not talk about. And I need to tell him he did it the correct way. Because I think he's going home, so he doesn't need to talk about his agenda now onwards.
So he didn't talk about his agenda?
He didn't talk about his agenda for the country. Yeah. He just talked about ladies were elected, the youth were elected, he thanked the people, congratulated the MPs, and so on. That was good. He understood that he's going home.
Alex?
Of course, I agree with him 100%. Uhuru is going home, and he is going home where he has been brought up. He has been brought up in State House. So I agree with him 100%. Uhuru is going back to where he has been brought up, that is State House. Secondly, and the most important of all, I am very proud. Did you see the entire video, the entire television on the
coverage?
House? Yes, I was very proud. The whole house was full.
Which house was full? You had the guys from opposition?
The parliament was full.
The judiciary wasn't even represented.
So I was wondering, where are the NASA MPs going to be accommodated?
What do you mean, where are they going to be accommodated?
Yes.
Because it's full.
No, yeah, of course. We are full there.
No, so remember, it was a joint house. It was a joint
so you don't need the NASA.
No, of course we read them, but minority.
You know, the two gentlemen here who like taking serious extremes, the question here is a legal question versus what NASA feels to be a moral question. What is the legal question? Is the president substantive in office today? Now, according to the law, yes,
he is. Come to that. What I wanted is your overview.
No, so I'm giving you the overview, and that's what I'm coming to. The second question that NASA is raising is because they feel there's been no election, then the president does not have a moral space to be there. But here's the question. The question is, when we accepted the Constitution, what we learned from in 2007 was the fact that we never wanted there to be a gap. So what did we do? We divorced the parliamentary system from the presidency, divorced Senate from the presidency, divorced the county governments from the presidency. Our Constitution espouses the idea that our country should be able to move forward regardless of who is at the top. And that's the most important thing. So for me, I was proud of our democracy, that we were able to hold ourselves together despite having an issue, okay, caused by the courts at the top office. That's the most important thing.
Define holding ourselves together. This is Parliament. You have people from the opposition not there. You have the judiciary not represented.
You know, the truth is, you are a journalist, okay? And let's correctly understand our parliamentarians. How many times have bills been passed when there were 30 people in parliament?
Okay.
You understand? Our parliamentarians, let me finish, have a habit of missing parliament, okay?
It's not the same, Mark. Come on.
I know it's not the same, but I'm trying to say that missing parliament in our country is a matter of course. We do it all the time.
Missing and boycotting are two different things. Alex, wait. Alex, this is my show. Come on, Kavins. So you said they didn't refuse. They decided to boycott, right? But before I even get your sentiments on that, I want to listen to what Moses Wetangula had to say with respect to NASA legislators not showing up and what the president had to say when he was meeting Kamba leaders on the same. Could we listen to that? Okay, so we are trying to see if we can get that clip for you. Moses Wetangula just giving reasons why he was saying the NASA legislators will not show up, and the president also making statements to that respect. Something that actually angered a lot of people. So, Kevin, let me get back to you.
There's something I want to talk about which Alex Gatundu talked about.
Okay.
He was telling us how the parliament was full and Jubilee's majority in that assembly, and so NASA doesn't even have to go back there. They can boycott it for good.
I did say that.
But I need to tell you, Alex, the MPs we have in this National Assembly, the senators we have in the Senate, these are production of a computer system. The votes that Kenyans got out early in the morning on 8th to cast for their leaders did not reflect here. Okay. And this is not something I'm saying as an opinion. This is something I'm saying according to the evidence that the Supreme Court used to nullify President Uhuru Kenyatta's
as usual.
So these people are not here because...
As usual, he is extrapolating. The fact of the matter is, there is no way you can say the entire country, from Saburu all the way to Nyeri, across to Meru, you cannot tell me that the entire country conspired to rig in...
No. Only Jubilee rigged the people they want into this assembly.
Okay.
You had the bite of the cherry. Can I finish?
Yes.
If you don't mind. There's no way you can convince me and my mother and all the other Kenyans that all the other 5 elections, they were rigged. Gubernatorial, senatorial, member of parliament, the member of National Assembly, you're talking about governors, you're talking about members of county assembly. You can't tell me all the other 5.
But Alex,
Linda, let me learn.
Hold on. Alex, but you do know that Martha Karua has gone to court, and specifically she says that the Supreme Court nullified the presidential election and its decision should apply to all
and
other
my
polls.
problem with that case is this. First, it is unprecedented. There is no way you can go to court and without respect to the case that is in court, because I have to be very guarded.
Yeah, so that we don't get...
of course. But I am not aware of a situation where you can go to court and pray for nullification of an entire election. What you do is this. You go for specific election. Member of county assembly, you specify who you are suing. Then you go to... No, you go to that. You cannot go for nullification of the entire... Because you have to give evidence. Yes, secondly, before you take over. Okay. Secondly, most important of all, remember the judges of the Supreme Court of Kenya, and we all respect them, have not given the reasons for their judgment, the summary judgment. And that is where it's supposed to be the source of any evidence that you can have. Alex, so she went to court prematurely,
Alex,
because what would be the basis or grounds?
Here's the issue. You see, the biggest problem that you have, okay?
You meaning who?
You have as a country.
Okay.
Yes, not
say we.
But there's a country.
No, if you mean the country, say we.
No,
I don't have the problem. You cannot
say we.
And you're proving my point, because this is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yes.
Here's the problem. Tom went to the market. He bought an apple. He ate one apple. The apple had a worm. Tom concluded all the apples have worms. Wrong conclusion. You see, you have scientifically, to be able to say all apples have worms, you have to test 100% of the apples to find they have worms. And therefore, on either extreme, we are wrong. Because if we are going to have a nationalistic conversation, number one, we have to look at each election individually. No, let me finish.
Let me finish.
Let me finish. The reason why I'm saying this, that you have to look at it individually, is remember, we are not trying to correct August 8th. It has already happened. It's in the past. We are trying to correct our systems and our institutions to make sure in 2022 it does not happen. The problem of having a blanket solution is like a man who tries to hit on all the women the same. It cannot work. You have to have a solution that works specific to the problem. There cannot be a blanket solution to this problem because there was not a blanket problem. And I'll tell you why. If you ask returning officers, some of them will tell you, I had some people who had malice, so they changed to help the MCA. Okay? You'll find others who will tell you, I had incompetent polling station attendants who filled the forms wrongly. Okay? So if you're going to solve these problems blanket-wise, what you will do is you'll assume they're all criminals, then hire even more incompetent people, then you have an election full of technical errors.
Bottom line?
Bottom line is this, that as a country, let's stop looking at these issues as blanket issues. They're not blanket issues.
Linda, let's not pretend here because maybe some of our principals are out there watching us how we argue their cases. The truth of the matter that this election was run on a single server from the MCA to the president.
Okay,
so if there was something wrong...
You need to substantiate that. You know, you're on
yes,
so what's wrong with that?
Wait. So if there was something wrong with the system which was receiving and tallying the votes, it is wrong for MCAs, it is wrong for MPs, it is wrong for everyone. As we sit here, we know, let us not pretend, that the result that was beamed to Kenyans was so different from the votes that the Kenyans cast. In that very report that the Supreme Court has, that was used to nullify the presidential election, it is stated there that there are as many as 600 fake polling stations in that system. Where did they come from? The fact that we can already find 600, I'm sure they could even be as many as 2,000.
No.
So
This is unacceptable.
This is a fake election. There was no election.
This is unacceptable.
Okay. You know, you guys are just actually pulling my conversation from what I wanted to talk about.
Yes.
I want to know why
Let's allow you.
NASA decided to boycott Parliament today.
NASA decided to boycott Parliament because, as we speak now, President Uhuru has half the powers. He does not have full powers. Why are we going to open a Parliament? Because when Parliament is open, the President is supposed to address the nation on his agenda for the nation going forward. But here is a president that has to wait for his fate until 17th October.
Okay, let's listen into what Moses Wetangula had to say, and the President as well, then we'll have this conversation.
Tuliamua kama NASA kwamba hatuwezi kwenda kumsikiza rais asiye rais. Rais asiye rais. Kwa sababu in law, President Uhuru is a caretaker president. Ni serikali ya mpito, rais wa mpito. Amekaa amechuchuma kwa kiti, hajakalia kiti. Kwa hivyo sisi hatungeenda kumsikiza kwa sababu hana mamlaka ya kikatiba na kisheria.
Owidi, yes. So explain to Kenyans, why did NASA...
Raisi wa mpito. Let me tell you, these MPs we have there are 345 of them, I think. You are wasting time for all these people when you are just going to congratulate them for being MPs. When you're just going to tell the Kenyans how it was good to elect ladies, to elect youth. The president should have gone to a National Assembly to address Kenyans on his legislative agenda going forward, on his administrative agenda going forward. That he cannot do because now he understands that his fate is yet to be decided by Kenyans in a properly executed election.
Owidi.
Yes.
The president, what you're trying to tell me is that the president is not fully the president.
Yes, the president does not have the full powers he needs to run this country as of now. But even if he did to have it until 2017, he cannot address people here on his agenda for this country going forward because his term may end on 17th of October.
The president is still the president until another... Alex, the president is still the president until another president is sworn in.
Correct. Yes. But the agenda for today was supposed to be to tell Kenyans what Kenyans should expect in the next 5 years. But because he cannot do that because his fate is not fully decided, he had to wait. So why do we go to the assembly to go and tell Kenyans congratulatory messages?
So by boycotting, what did NASA gain?
NASA was trying to draw the attention of the country that actually this guy is masquerading. It's time to start ruling Kenya. It's 17th of October.
No, I can't wait to answer that. You know, he is very wrong as he is always. Here in studio. No, let me qualify that. You see, when he says that this guy is masquerading, that's not the law, it's not the constitution. In fact, the fact of the matter is, when Uhuru was a candidate and when we were expecting the results, the resolution of the dispute in the Supreme Court, that time, in fact, he was very vulnerable. as a president. But when they nullified his election, he reverted back to his former status.
It's like we did have an
now
election.
He is fully the president of the Republic of Kenya. He is no longer a president-elect. No, what I'm saying, he is no longer a president-elect. That's what I'm saying. He is no longer a president-elect.
So what is he?
So, of course, there are powers that he cannot exercise. But one of those powers that he can exercise right now, as you're speaking, and that's why I have a problem with what Wetangula said, and he's my senior, he should know better in the profession.
By virtue of...
No, you have asked, ukiuliza swali, lazima ugoje majibu. Leader. Yes. That guy is my senior, so he should know better.
Okay.
One of the powers that the President of the Republic of Kenya, Uhuru, has right now as we're speaking, is to open Parliament. He has that power. The other power that he may not exercise right now, but one of the powers that he has is that he can open Parliament, which is what he did today. So, for NASA, they are neither here nor there. I think for them, they're just trying to attract attention because they know they are going to lose by a bigger margin in the forthcoming fresh elections. I can understand where they're coming from. They are desperate for attention. I can understand where they're coming from.
Alex, I have a question.
Yes.
So you've clearly said there are certain powers that the president now does not have. So what does that make him? Is he still the president?
He is the president. No, he is the president, but there are some, for example, there are some powers that he cannot exercise. For example, he cannot fire a cabinet secretary. He cannot fire now.
I know
right
what
now.
he can and
yes,
can't do.
Yes, he cannot fire cabinet secretary right now. Yes. But right now, as we are speaking, he can actually do what he did. That's what I'm saying.
Belinda,
the opening Parliament.
Yes. Let me ask a very simple question, and this is where I like to approach issues, okay? We're going towards an election. An election which the budget the former parliament passed did not envision. For the country to spend money, it needs parliament to sit and approve.
Oh, Duale says they're approving it next week, I think.
Now, here's the thing. If we want an election in October, and I think both NASA and Jubilee want an election, pending other issues, but we want an election, okay? If we want an election, parliament must be there, 1. 2, the Constitution envisions a situation where even if we were to have a rerun for 6 months, because we went to an election, someone went to court for 6 months, it envisions a country that is able to move forward sustainably, even without having an election. What do we need to understand as Kenyans, not as Jubilee and NASA, is as Kenyans we need to get to a space where our institutions work regardless of who's sitting in office. The imagination that just because it is Uhuru and I don't like Uhuru, therefore he should not exercise what needs to happen for this country, that is wrong. That is taking a partisan approach to something that is a national duty. You understand? If today, God forbid, a country went to the borders of Kenya and they declared war on our country, would we say that Uhuru should not defend us because the election has not happened? This is the reality. We need to understand that as a country, we need to be able to move forward regardless of who's in the top office. That is what our Constitution espouses. That is what we need to stand on, and that's why we take a stand.
Kavins, you absolutely,
I just want to correct something.
You absolutely have the right of reply, and I'll give it to you immediately we come back from this break.
Okay.
You have the right of reply, I promise. I expect you. Okay, all right. So could you take that break now?